This is The Bottom Line with Muwah.
Hello there and a very warm welcome to the program The Bottom Line with me, Muwah. Today we are in South Africa, the economic capital of South Africa, Johannesburg, where we have a seasoned banker, a traditional ruler and community leader from the northwest region of Cameroon. When we talk of a community leader, we are talking about the Muwah village in the northwest region of Cameroon. Is that correct?
That's correct. Muwah village from the Pinyin Clan, from Santa subdivision in the northwest region of Cameroon.
You are welcome to the program. Yes, present yourself to the millions of viewers who are watching us on this platform.
May I extend my greetings to your viewers, our viewers. I didn't know that this what is going to be happening here. I'm surprised to see this, but I am His Majesty King TAKA IV, the founder of Muwah village in the Pinyin Clan. Given the new dispensation where the world is not too different from a small village, we can be anywhere and still effectively perform our duties in whatever we do. So I have a diverse approach to all the activities that I undertake as a banker, as a community leader, but most importantly as a leader of the people. So in my experience, what I've practiced, it doesn't matter where I am. All we need is good people who understand the vision, who are in these areas on the ground, who can help, undertake or do whatever activities that a collective has agreed, whatever vision we've agreed to. Thank you.
When you talk of TAKA of Muwah, I'm a bit taken aback because we know that a new fund was recently enthroned in Pinyin. What's the relationship between Muwah and Pinyin? So that we know, is there any rivalry between you and the new fund who was enthroned recently?
Not at all. The new fund that was enthroned recently is the Paramount Fund. It's a Paramount Fund of the Pinyin Clan. The clan is made up of villages, in which Muwah is one of the villages. So indeed, there is no rivalry, and there shall never be rivalry.
And what's your take? What's your take on the new fund from Can Asobo, who was recently enthroned? What's your take on that?
The Paramount Fund of Pinyin, His Majesty Can Asobo, asks those that have worked with him from his days in CRTV to his community service, is a level-headed individual. It will be in a form. So I don't think that it will be different, because characters are, accumulated over the years. My personal take is that he is a perfect fit and will surely dispense his duties to the greatest satisfaction of not only the Pinyin people, but of the Northwest people and of Cameroon in general. But I often want to see more of Africa. I don't want to always limit our activities to a small place and so on. As a leader, you're not a leader in just Pinyin Clan. You must be a leader in Africa, because that is what I focus on.
Yes, let's, as I said in the beginning of our interview, we have to divide this interview into two components. Okay. The first one is going to be the professional part of you as a seasoned banker, and the second part is going to be you as a traditional ruler. So can you tell us your journey from Cameroon to South Africa as a banker? Let's see that trajectory.
Oh, I left Cameroon some 20 years ago to study. The exact reason for leaving Cameroon was because when I grew up, I loved IT so much. And I actually refused to go to university in Cameroon because universities were not teaching IT in Cameroon 20 years ago. And even if they were trying to teach anything, it was clearly below the standard of a normal street technician. So I attended a few computer schools in Cameroon, And to be clear, there was no examination center for any international exam in Cameroon. Hence, I moved to South Africa to continue that. And when I got to South Africa, I immediately enrolled into a computer school, Boston College, before ever going to other schools, before ever working in the banking sector, before continuing my education to be able to help me not just in that field, having a master's in innovation studies from Wits University, was to complement the solutions architecture work that I do for banks. And further, a master's in business administration does not only help me in doing one or two businesses, but I always see majority of the things that we do for our communities, that it was important to look at them from a business point of view, not in terms of making a profit, but in terms of getting efficiencies. And I think some of my subjects will be able to tell you that the various community projects that we have undertaken back in the village, a majority of them has been a success. And I will not deny that it could not be attributed to some of these exposures that one has been through whatever we have accumulated as knowledge.
Yeah, when you talk of being a banker, people want to know in which bank are you working now and which position do you hold in that bank?
I'm a lead solutions architect at ABSA Africa. I've held that position for about 4 years, but also I do solution architecture work for Bank of America. So I do work in the US and I do work in South Africa.
I was coming to that question. What are some of the unique opportunities that you have encountered in South Africa that maybe you want to share with other bankers?
Well, the key opportunity first about South Africa is for non-South Africans first, is to ensure that you are documented, by abiding to the immigration policies of South Africa, and then ensuring that you don't only study what is marketable. I could say a majority of the IT specific skills like architecture, like security, like cloud, they are all, while in the market. I can tell you that these opportunities are there everywhere. But our people, both South Africans and Cameroonians and the rest of Africa, they have a challenge of lack of experience. Hence, you see a government like South Africa's government is fond of sponsoring companies to employ people like for a short while just to gain some experience. Even if Cameroonians cannot get such an opportunity, we are always there. They could organize themselves. I've always told people I could give training for 6 months for free, and I've done so for a number of ladies, which I will not call the names, who book and come right here in the palace, and I will show them how they do designs, what concepts are behind that, and what you look at and what you want to achieve, the whole strategy of design. And I can tell you, if people are serious, in 6 months they could be experts.
Yes, coming from Cameroon, you surely have some cultural uniqueness. How does this cultural background influence your work here in South Africa from Cameroon? The cultural background from Cameroon?
Well, I first of all see Africa as one. To me, the differences in culture, and what is culture? Culture is the foods that we eat, the clothes that we wear, the languages that we speak, the songs that we sing, etc. If you look at it very well, Africa is unique in its entirety. The differences are quite little. If you want to get married to a lady from South Africa and a lady from Cameroon, the differences are never going to be so much. And therefore, there's not been a huge difference in how we interact and how we understand the culture. The key thing is adaptability. Some of you will say when you go to room, do what the Romans do. I'm not one of those who advocate for that. I do say when you go to room, practice and hold on to your culture, but adapt the other culture, because we have to keep learning. It has to be part of our life to always keep learning. However, for having worked for at least 15 years in the banking sector, I only succeeded my father in 2019. Since then, I've never been to the office because naturally funds don't go to the office. And everybody that I work with understands that. So I have an office from the palace.
And how do you see the evolution of the banking sector in South Africa and the broader African continent? Because the banking sector is very primordial in the growth, the economic growth of the continent, not only South Africa, but the African continent as a whole.
I think the banking sector is key in the entire economic setup of any country, specifically for countries that are, understood to be developing countries. Let's take South Africa, for example. The 4 big banks in South Africa, we know that there are emerging banks that might even be some of these banks one day, but the 4 main banks that the government relies on, the Reserve Bank relies on, if the regulations that are put in place are mostly to ensure that these banks do not collapse, that people do not lose confidence in these banks, because if they do, then the economy will collapse. For example, South Africa is an economy where you have the facilities to take a credit card, to take a car on loan, to buy a house on loan. All of those things are, countries that have properly structured, their systems. And this is anchored and enabled by the banking system. So policies and legislation do not take it lightly with the banking sector. Comparing it with other parts of Africa, I have been to a couple of countries in Africa, like in Rwanda, Ghana, etc. I have seen that they also are adopting the same strategy. The difference I have seen is in a place like the United States in particular, where they are, the forerunners of technology. But I am surprised to let you know, you should be surprised that they do not make technology and adopt it immediately. Their banking system is far inferior to that of South Africa. But I understand when I asked a number of questions there, as I try to gather information for a specific solution, the reason is because various states have legislations that, first of all, protect jobs. So despite them developing specific technologies, they are ready to, export those technologies, but before they implement it, they have to be sure that it does not take away jobs from them. So I will say places like South Africa should continue in the path that they are, and they should, send this leverage, to the rest of Africa, because if South Africa is doing well, if the rest of Africa fails to do well, if Nigeria is doing well, if Cameroon fails to do well, then Africa will hardly emerge in the way we anticipate.
Thank you, from TAKA. We'll have to take a pause for a commercial break.
Thank you.
Welcome to Abbey Falls Resort, a hidden gem nest in the heart of Cameroon. Discover a paradise where landscape meets serene waters and adventure awaits at every turn. Abbey Falls. Imagine waking up to the gentle sound of cascading waterfalls and the sweet aroma of nature all around you. At Abbey Falls, every moment is an escape from the ordinary. Abbey Falls, whether you're seeking adventure on breathtaking hiking trails or simply relaxing in our luxury accommodation, Abbey Falls offers the perfect blend of tranquility and excitement. Abbey Falls, indulge in our mouth-watering local cuisine or explore the vibrant culture of Cameroon. Your dream getaway awaits you at Abbey Falls. Come and experience the magic of Abbey Falls.
Welcome back to the program. Yes, from TAKA, are there some special advice that you want to give African entrepreneurs who are trying to grow their business in South Africa and in Africa as a whole?
Yes, of course. But there are basic things, like ensuring that they research about the market, ask more questions, and visit the areas that they want to do business in, and do what we call an endoscopic eye view.
Market research.
not just market research. Yeah, you do market research, but you could also come and, like, you have your own lenses on that don't only see in front, that also see what is behind you. Because the world is, you know, when we say we are getting into a digital world, there's much more that we can benefit, and there's also much more that we can lose. So you need to, have that endoscopic eye view, and then you have to ensure that you register your business. Having that endoscopic eye view for registering is to also look at the ground. You see, like in South Africa, recently when they said, talk shops should be operated by South Africans. You need to understand the environment. If it's hostile to just every investor, or despite government policy, so that is why you call it market research, and I call it the way I call it.
Yes, why I'm asking this question is because the tendency for most people, they have the money, and they think that with money they can just move into the business and start making profit.
Which is not the case.
Yes. Are there particular financial strategies or products you found to be most useful to the immigrant population in South Africa? Because the immigrant population also forms a very important part in South Africa.
Of course, I've often advised the immigrant population to involve more in assets. Why? Because I have not often seen confrontation or exclusion through the development of assets in any country that have been there. The country wants more investors that will, invest in assets like homes and other type of assets. But that's not just all. Because the population of the world is migrating to various parts of the world now for various reasons, food is one of them. When we were here a couple of years ago, there was no shop called an African food store. There was no shop called a Cameroon's food store, a Nigerian's food store. But I see anywhere I go around the world, whether I go to UK or to Belgium, anywhere I go, that is what I now see. I will not just see an African food store, I will see specifically a Cameroon food store. So these are some of the things that are part of, trying to indulge in properties. Food is also one of them. But that's because no matter what happens, we have to eat. So no one who deals with food can go wrong if they do it well.
Yes, for TAKA, we are now moving to the second segment of our interview. That's you as a traditional ruler and a community leader. Can you tell us what motivated you to take up that role as a traditional ruler? Fine, we know it's an issue of lineage, it's a form of inheritance, but you must be motivated to take it. What was the motivation?
Nothing motivated me. Why? Because I was not aware that I was going to take that role. I did not like the rule. Because the rule takes away some freedoms from you. So the rule is actually disadvantageous to me. But if you've been selected by the ancestors, you will accept. Because if I was called to say, come and take this rule, I would not have taken the rule. But I was caught and put on this rule. It's part of our customs and traditions. So once you've been appointed in such a role, there's only one thing for you to do. If you have the sufficient support and the support of the ancestors, then they will enable you, they will give you the wisdom to start accepting it, and then they will give you, the vision on what to do.
Now that you are in there, there is no turning back, because when we see the impact that you are creating in your community back home, we have football tournaments, we have churches being built, we have things happening back home. At least you are happy with the impact you are creating.
I'm happy with the impact that I and my people are creating.
So you are the leader?
Yes, so that's why I'm not one of those leaders who want to say I, because I alone cannot do anything. So, but yes, I'm happy with the impact that through my leadership we are creating.
Yes, and when we see the gorgeous palace here, we know that it must be your people working in unison with you to put up this gorgeous. No, I mean, but it means that they are happy with what you are doing for us to have a gorgeous palace like this.
That is true.
Yes, and when we look at some of the key challenges facing the Cameroonian and African communities in South Africa, how do you address some of these issues? How do you advise them to address some of these issues?
Thank you for that question. That's a very, very important question. I had an opportunity to invite the High Commissioner of Cameroon to the palace here. And we had a number of discussions about that. I also visited the embassy just to discuss about some of these things. I think they adopted a number of strategies, which they invited leaders from that they know of Cameroonians all over. They pondered on and they agreed on certain things. In my community in Muwah, and there are the Pinyin people who are frequent here in the palace. We've also had a number of meetings. What I tell people is that avoid confrontations with people on things that involve businesses that are not clean. One of the key reasons that we have seen our people getting into trouble in South Africa in particular is mostly business related, because I have asked a number of questions for a few of some of our illustrious sons that have been killed in this country.
Too.
I start by saying sons because I do not know any daughters.
Yeah.
I was coming there. I don't know what they did, but why is it that only men are shot? I indeed have never seen a woman who has been shot. It simply means that because men go out to fend, they get to interact in certain circumstances that leads to that situation. So when you deal in any business with anybody, be honest and respect the agreement. I think that will save us a number of lives.
But they also complain about documentation. Some of them, they had problems having their papers at the embassy, the High Commission. When you received the High Commissioner, did you present some of these issues to him?
Yes, but the High Commissioner, in his view, at no point has prevented or has instructed anyone to prevent anyone who could prove that they're a Cameroonian from getting documentation from the
Before that was the case.
So I'm not sure which High Commissioner was there at that time, but so far as I understand, this current High Commissioner said it to me with his own mouth, and I have observed it because I do not know anyone who has gone there and was not served.
No, that is true. I mean, the reactions that we get from Cameroonians here shows that he is doing what the previous High Commissioners didn't do.
I will not comment on that because I'm not so sure about that.
Okay, can you share some success stories initiated by you that have impacted on your community back home? Because people want to see and hear some of these success stories.
Well, there are a number of community projects that we have initiated back in Muwah village there. One, when I took over as the fund, I realized that due to the crisis that we have in the region, I had to see a lot of widows around. And together with the Queen, together with a branch of my family association, which is the TAKA Royal Union of South Africa, they contributed a number of piglets, about 30 piglets, and feed, and this was distributed to, the widows back then, and they have come back to tell us how that has changed their life. Some say they use it in transforming the lives of their children. Some say they use it in sending their children to school when the piglets started to multiply. So I see that as a success because I could physically see how it's changing lives. And that has also motivated me to every year continue to give piglets to more of these women. In fact, as I'm talking like this, an NGO in the US has donated $10,000 to the Queen.
When you talk of the Queen, who do you refer to?
The Queen is my wife. The Queen is normally the fund's wife. Yes, so she's a researcher. So she's able to look for funds to assist those back in the village. And that project requires training people not just for sustainability, training people on how to make their own feed, how to keep those piglets, and how to grow them, and therefore to also extend new piglets to new people who require help. She targets 100 women around the village, and that project is already in progress. So that's how far that piglet project has metamorphosed.
You will not forget about the football tournament and all that.
You said a number, so just that this one was long. So yes, so also I had also made a proclamation that all the quarters in the village must have drinking water, all the quarters. And we did launch the Muwah Water project in 2022. We did envisage 60 million for, because we have, God has blessed us with a lot of water sources. I had launched it on a certain day. The community, due to once more the crisis, it's hard to get people contribute. But the community contributed 11 million. The mayor promised to give me more to fulfill and complete this money. However, as we understand in Cameroon, development is self-development most of the time.
And the people must appropriate some of these projects,
yes,
knowing that they are part and parcel of
it. So as we speak, a number of quarters in the village have already built their water tanks and distributed water. As we speak, 2 days back, we were blessing one of the water tanks that was being built, and water is really being drunk. So
which neighborhood is that?
That is in Konkembat in Muwah. That is in Kongto. Kongto means palace. The quarter that the palace is. That's in Kongmandam. We now moving to Kong Mission. If we go to Kong Paluwala, if we go to Kong Matazem, if we go to Kong Mandam 2, and a number of others. So the project is to last for 5 years. And I believe that we've already gone past 50%. And by 2027, we expect that there should be good running water in every quarter of the village. So that's one of the projects that we're running. Also, we have bridges that had collapsed. A number of these bridges, I had contacted some illustrious sons of Muwah. Some of them picked up one of the bridges to do for themselves. And I managed those projects, and they've completed about 2 bridges already. For some reasons, I'm not going to be telling who they are. Also, there's a key bridge between Kong Mission and Konkemba that a person died in that bridge. So to construct that bridge had to cost us about 90 million. But luckily, I have secured funds from the government. That bridge, they will start the construction.
It means that even here, you're also working in tandem with the government?
Yes, I work in tandem with all government apparatus in Cameroon. That's why the High Commissioner will come here to discuss with me.
But you have not mentioned the football tournament and the other social activities that you are also involved in.
I was still just on the ropes.
Let's get that.
Yeah, so the football tournament that was launched by my father, I never started a football tournament. That football tournament initially was called the Muwah Development Cup. So when I came on board, I changed it to the Muwah Unity Cup. The cup plays every year. The cup is offered by myself. However, I do offer the main prize, which is 500,000. Then the community will then sponsor various activities that might also be worth 1 million. This cup is not only limited to the quarters in that village. It is open to the entire Pinyin Clan. This year, we were reconstructing the football stadium. It was basically being reconstructed by myself. So we've had a number of caterpillars and graders. They bulldozed it. They were building the embankments. We're now attempting to put the nets, and very soon the grader will come for the last time, I think this week, sometime in 2 days' time. So we suspended playing on that field this year for that reason. But next year, we have already had pledges for more than 1 million without anything even starting. So next year, that cup will be open to anyone in the Santa subdivision, meaning all the villages in the Santa subdivision. Specifically because I will be, for the first time, going home to Cameroon in 2025.
Yes, 2025 is a very important year because we hear the official enthronement of the phone will be done in 2025. Are you going to be present?
The official enthronement of the phone will be done in 2025. I will be present if it's towards the time that I have to be home, because I've had a number of discussions with the kingmakers and so on. If I'm not present, my entourage or my representatives will be present.
Yes, how do you blend your demanding career as a banker with your responsibility as a traditional ruler and community leader?
It's quite demanding, but as I said, when the ancestors give you the responsibility, they enable you, they help you, not just with the resources, they also help you with people who understand and know why they have to do what they have to do. So I wouldn't have a better way of explaining it, because people often ask me that.
Yes, what lessons have you learned in South Africa, working in South Africa, that you want to share with other people in Cameroon and the rest of the continent?
Well, we have learned a number of lessons in South Africa. We have learned that if you work smartly, because it's very common for everyone to know that the hardest workers don't earn the highest money, unfortunately. When we build roads, those who actually dig the roads, those who are paid are those who understand the contexture of chemicals and products that are used on the road. So yes, people should not just study, but they should study, as I've mentioned before, in order to create greater impact, not for just casual labor. And given the fact that South Africa is a country where casual labor is in abundance, and people tend to, Fiji over casual labor, it was better for majority of, the rest of Africans and Cameroonians in particular to go for more superior skills.
Yes, we'll have a second pause for our commercials. In a world where the future is shaped by knowledge and character, there exists a place where education transcends boundaries. Welcome to St. Mary's International College.
At St. Mary International College, we embrace the belief that every child holds the potential for greatness, and we are committed to cultivating this greatness through a world-class education.
Our esteemed faculties, equipped with the latest in educational technologies and top-notch laboratory equipment, ensures that students do not only excel academically, but also grow into positive and confident thinkers.
We believe that education is more than just academic achievement. It's about nurturing creativity, cultivating leadership, and fostering values that will guide them throughout their lives. From their first steps into our hallways to their final walk across the graduation stage, we teach them not only to excel academically, but also to lead with purpose and integrity. At St. Mary's International College, excellence is not an expectation, but a tradition. Discover a place where potential meets achievement and dreams take flight.
Welcome back to the program. So what is your long-term vision for yourself, both as a professional, as a traditional ruler, and a community leader?
Thank you. Given the fact that I'm a banker, what do you learn out there to take back home is what you are skilled in. So in that direction, I hope to put a few people together and open a bank that should serve all those who want to be in IT but are not having the opportunity, specifically in my own locality in Santa, where Muwah is found. And furthermore, having to think about the future. I don't want my people to keep going out like some of us, being in different countries to seek for greener pastures when we can create our own greener pastures where we are and then export our products to South Africa or wherever that we find that it's more better than what we currently have. So there's land that we have secured. There's also village land that will be used in agriculture. We want to do industrial agriculture where we will first of all have food sufficiency and we want to supply food. That's why I didn't mention you the piglet program. Why we're expanding it is because we want a scenario where in a couple of years to come, trucks should be able to come to Muwah every week to load piglets.
But you know that before the crisis, trucks used to come to Pinyin?
Trucks were coming to Pinyin to grab vegetables, not piglets, not pigs, sorry. Okay. Pigs, because we like eating a lot of pork ribs. I think most of the people here enjoy it. So we want to see that scenario. We want a situation where when you go and study in the University of Bamenda, Yaoundé, or wherever, you will come and implement that in Muwah. We are looking at a situation where we don't want to encourage our people to keep thinking of going to work somewhere. We want our people to create work. So my long-term vision is to see that that can be achieved directly in Muwah village, and I could expand that to the rest of Pinyin and why not Santa and the Northwest region.
Yes, you talked of you being out here for a long time and going back to Santa or going back to Muwah, as going back to your lineage, to your ancestors.
Yes.
How is this journey going to be?
Well, there's a whole project team. There's a whole project team that's been set up for that particular project. There are people contributing money for that particular project. There's a budget already for that particular project. And unfortunately, it's not yet time to disclose the details. But it's clear that this will happen in December 2025. And the whole program will be shared with everyone, including the media houses in Cameroon.
Yes, for people watching and listening to us out there, it must be noted that the Pinyin or the Muwah community, they form some of the most significant community in South Africa. Can you give us, in terms of their numbers?
The Muwah community in South Africa is about 300 to 400 people, because only the members of the TAKA royal family is closing 200 people.
Wow.
What about the rest of the Muwah community? Just my children here, they are almost 200 people. Because we think that the entire Pinyin Clan has a community in South Africa of about 1,000 people. But I think that the TAKA's royal family takes a bigger chunk of that, close to 200. So therefore, Muwah people should be something between 400 and 500.
Yes, for TAKA, we cannot end this conversation without talking about the somber part of the situation back home. We know that Pinyin, Santa, was like an epicenter of some of the things happening back home, the crisis. So what are you telling the people back home, and you in the diaspora? What advice do you tell people to bring down the tensions that we have back home in Cameroon?
Yes, that's a very important question. There are a lot of people don't want to answer. For me, I've said it over and over, there's no taboo question. We often know that justice is very important before peace. But we also know that there cannot be justice if there is no peace. There must be peace for people to sit and then have justice. What I will send as my message to the people and also to the government is for unity, is for dialogue, is for everyone to stop fighting. Because as I know, what keeps Africa in the dark is this petty fighting. And therefore, as a people, as Cameroonians, fighting each other will not solve our problem. It will exacerbate our problem. It is better to always sit on the dialogue table. It is always better to sit man to man, family to family, and make sure that they talk and bring peace. Because whatever fighting we do, we shall end up still sitting to talk. And in fact, based on that, I was inspired to write a book, Harmony Reigns in 12 Days, The Royal Secret to Peaceful Living, which I will offer you a copy.
Yes, Your Excellency, before we come to the end of this conversation, we know that the crisis started, or the issue started off from the very onset. It was a very good, issue, but it took a different dimension. The violence, especially kidnapping, killings, was that part of what was initially stated in the conflict?
Yes. I've never been, the palace is open for everybody. The doors of the palace is open for everyone without exception. If you are being haunted for whatever reason, you should come to the palace, because the palace must be neutral and must also be seen to be neutral. I will not specifically tell you why the struggle and fighting started. We all were observants. We were seeing what was happening. So it doesn't matter how it started. They say it's the end that justifies the... So my point is that no matter what the cause was, there was no need to start fighting. There was no need for anybody to lose their life. Donald Trump said to Ukraine that you are fighting with Russia. Russia is trying to claim your land. What if they kill everybody and there's no one to occupy that land? Will it have worth it to kill your people and still either lose the land or win the land when there's no one to occupy it? So I do not subscribe to any fighting or killing of anyone by anyone. That is why I preach dialogue. Dialogue is the best way out.
So from TAKA, we would like to know about how you got to the throne, the lineage, the TAKAs. I mean, how many years back till today?
Thank you for that question. I think that is one of the very important questions that you've asked here today. If you look behind me here, you will see they describe me as from TAKA IV, because the first was there. You could see when he passed away, 1911.
Yeah.
He was one of the children from the Pinyin Palace. That's why I say to you that the Pinyin Palace is the paramount for us, the villages that are under that clan. And therefore there could be no possibility or justification for any misunderstanding or even to talk about confrontation. So he was married to 18 wives, and he had 128 children. In this 128, Talkansan, who founded the land Muwah, because as you know the history of the Northwest, it was about migration. People migrated just before independence in 1960. There was not a lot of real settlements. So there was a lot of migration from place to place. So he moved from the central part of Pinyin and then settled in Muwah land, where he founded a land as part of Pinyin Clan. He himself, as a son of Awasu, was married to 12 wives, and he had 84 children. With the 84 children, let's just say we're going to, assume that we're only going to count 50. You see, the man with the 128 children, we only counted him. We don't want to count the rest. So we only counted him, and again, he had 84 children, in which we only going to count 50. So let's say 50. Among the 50, my father is one. My father, King TAKA III, he was married to 5 women with 40 children, which I am the second of the 40 children. So let's assume here when we said this man only had 50 children. So we now going to assume that each child only had 5 children. Only 5. Meaning that him here with his 50, with my father, who my father already had 40 before passing away, but we now saying that my father only had 3. So we taking, I want you to understand why I was taking people away. So we only counting 30, we're taking 37 out, we only counting 3, right? Yeah. So if you go here, you talk about 50, then you say each of them had 3 children. How many would that be? 150, right?
Right.
Good, plus the 200. Now us, you see, I never counted the rest of his children, right? So him, with his 40 children, which I'm one, let's say everybody has only two children, how much would that be? So that's already more than 500 people from there. But remember, I'm scaling it down to say I'm only counting about 10%. So the people at TAKAs who are actually under me as a throne are more than 2,000. There is no hall in the whole world that can accommodate them. That's why they can only be accommodated by a field, like a soccer field.
Yes, the book that you...
Thank you.
Yes.
So because of the fact that we come from a region where we could only at all times sit and think that there is conflict between Northwest and Southwest, or between the French and English part of Cameroon. No, it's not actually what is real. If you go back into the families that we live in, I mean, including their family, not everybody is in terms with the other.
Yeah.
In fact, if you get to your household, if you are not careful, this might also be the case. So I found it necessary to write a book,
Harmony Reigns in 12 days.
In 12 days. The Royal Secrets to Peaceful Living. This book is like a drama. It's like written in the context of Muwah. Everything named there is about Muwah. The halls that are named there are the halls in Muwah Palace. And it tries to describe the type of conflicts that we have, the solutions to those conflicts, and how we can solve that in 12 days. So I'm pleased to give you 2 copies, and I believe that you will give my friend there one of the copies, so that you people may spread the word that is in this book. Don't just take this book, read, review, and spread the word. We intend that this book intends to reach all corners of the world that there is conflict, including Cameroon. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. And it was a pleasure talking with you for TAKA here in Johannesburg.
Thank you.